y'all. So this is something that I decided to do. I don't know why the camera just decided to go up that way, but yeah, this is something I decided to do. One of my subscribers, of our subscribers, members of the Sakurai clan, my freaking happy coat is all wrinkled. Um, but yeah, he put this idea in my head to why not do a review of each episode of Kamen Rider Zio, because unfortunately, even though I love Kamen Rider Build, I did not think about doing a review for each episode that came out. So even though that Kamen Rider Build is come and gone, that still doesn't mean we couldn't get to do reviews for the upcoming episodes of Kamen Rider Zio. So I'm just gonna start off by saying I love this series already. Like, even though we just started with the whole thing, I love the take on it. I love the mystery behind it. It's like the next decade, like literally the next decade, and how the story goes about the main protagonist be the one that destroys the world, or being the one that dooms us all or whatever. But because it has this kind of vibe. Okay, so we start with our main character, Tokiwa, Tokiwa, who is basically a high school student. And right now, around this time, Japanese high school students are taking this entrance exam, right? Except for Tokiwa, or Tokiwa, because he wants to become king, and he feels as though ever since he was born, he was destined to become king. So he decided not to take the entrance exams. Everybody else is just thinking that he, wants to be a child or whatever. Not taking him seriously, right? Until one day, one of these little watches, these little I call them rider watches, appears on the seat of his bike, and he picks it up, and the moment he touches it, all hell breaks loose. I think he visited his caretaker, but before all hell breaks loose, his caretaker, he owns this clock shop, this clock repair shop, or something of that nature. They have a talk and whatnot, talk about, him going to the end, taking the entrance exams. Of course, he said no and everything, and after that point, the secondary rider pops up, which is Kamen Rider Gaze. I don't know his actual name per se, but yeah, he immediately goes in pursuit of Tokiwa, because his timeline, which is 2068, I think, his timeline is the timeline where the supposed future self of Tokiwa, Omar Zio, he takes over everything, and he basically is the overlord of that timeline. So Gaze has his idea to go back in time and destroy the previous Tokiwa so that he never becomes Zio. So while that's happening, the girl protagonist pops up in Zio's robot time machine. Also, in this series, in order for them to cross through time, timelines, they have this giant mecha robot that also fits as works as a time machine that goes back through time. Gaze has one that looks exactly like his rider form, and Zio has one that looks exactly like his rider form that the girl is riding in. So she takes him and so that he doesn't get killed by Gaze. They go through separate timelines and whatnot, and she explains to him that the reason why he's getting attacked is because this other version of him that's 50 years, I think it's 50 years in the future, he becomes the overlord, that this very evil and powerful overlord that destroys the whole world and takes over everything and just dooms everyone else to hell. But yeah, Tokiwa is kind of torn between him wanting to be king and becoming this hellish overlord, because he doesn't want to doom people, he doesn't want to hurt people. He wants to be beloved and looked up on as a good influence, as a good person, as a good king. He wants to be a good king to the world. So in the middle of this episode, he is trying to make his decision and everything. And while all that's happening, this very mysterious person who he's probably going to be the third rider, the evil rider, later on in this series. But yeah, he stops a car from hitting this boy. Like, he basically taps the car and it pauses time, the whole incident. And he tells him this: look, in this little incident, you get hit by this car. I'll let you, like, I can save you if you just do something for me. And he was like, okay, I'll contract. So he contracts, turns on this little, the same little rider watch or whatever, and he gives him the power of this monstrous Kamen Rider build. Now, in this series, what's really cool about this series is that the monsters, instead of being these monsters that like to affect people and whatnot, like they're mainly based upon the riders from each series. So in this one, this monster was basically is formed out of Kamen Rider build, like it's a monstrous Kamen Rider build, and he basically has the potential to absorb people and then turn them into bottles. Like, cause he turned these two basic people into I think it was Tennis, and oh, and also I forgot to mention that in the midst of Tokiwa and that girl protagonist, who also is from the same future as Gaze, he got in a timeline where Kamen Rider build exists in, and he ran into Sento and Banjo just when they were after fighting a smash. So yeah, they had this little sequence where they were talking about, like, the rider watch that Tokiwa has and whatnot. They couldn't realize what it was and whatnot, even though Sento went through the diagnostics and everything, did research and everything. And while that was happening, after that happened, the girl protagonist zapped all three of them and knocked them out cold, because she thought, she said to herself that I'm sorry, but there can only be so much interaction with different timelines. So yeah, that happened. I honestly wish that they could have talked more, but I feel as though that's going to be happening throughout, like, the whole series, where Tokiwa encounters like the rest of the riders from each of the series timelines, and she just immediately stops it. So yeah, the junkyard, I forget which one. It was Tennis and something else, and it was like not a best match. So yeah, like the people that become these monstrous riders, they tend to have the same characteristics as those opposing riders. So yeah, after that, Tokiwa comes in like interference with this monster, because he's terrorizing people and whatnot. He tells him to stop it and everything. The watch still doesn't work for him. It's still not working for him, until finally he gets influenced by the fact that all this is happening, and he feels as though he can do something. He was like, alright, in that case, then I'll just turn this on. Before he does that, the girl protagonist tells him, like, no, don't do this. Enough about being this king stuff. like it's nonsense, and he's like, no, it's not nonsense. I want to become king. I want to be a perfect king. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this freaking prophecy preacher or whatever, whatever you want to call him, pops up out of nowhere. Don't even know what his name is. Has a book in his hand. Yes, you must become king, and everything, and then he tells him that and whatnot, that it's his destiny to do this, and everything, that he was born to do this and whatnot. And so Tokiwa is like, okay, yeah, I'll be king, but I won't be hated on, hated or feared of. I want to be a beloved king. I want to be a king that can help people, that can help the world. And while he says that, the Rider Watch turns on and the Zio emblem pops up on the watch. So he transforms, of course. Also, the way I like how this driver works, because like it basically, all you gotta do is just press it and then push it, and then it just goes around and just locks in place. And I love that. I honestly love that. So he transforms, and of course it's the pose of this statue that's in the beginning of the episode of him doing the rider transformation and everything. So all that happens. Also, I forgot to mention, the preacher also mentions that he knows how to use it. Okay, how did he know how to? How did he just know how to use it? Did he have dreams of him transforming into this, and he just figured out how to do everything? Like, that's crazy. But yeah, he transforms. He fights the monstrous Kamen Rider build, defeats him and whatnot. And all of a sudden, Gates shows up, and he tells the female protagonist, looks like he couldn't change history, and he's all in a fiery rage. He's like, why did you become Zio? Why did you become the Overlord? It was like, I made up my mind. I just feel like it was something I was just born to do. And then Gates has this flashback of Omar Zio saying almost saying the same shit. I honestly think I have no doubts that Omar Zio and the Zio that we see in this episode are not the same person. I honestly believe that, because there ain't no way, because they're two different characteristics. Two very different characteristics. Then again, this is the second decade, so he might just pull a 180 and just say, fuck it, fuck everybody, I'ma just beat up everybody. So yeah, Gates is like, well, in that case, I'll just have to destroy you right now. So he transforms. Also, I love Gates' transformation. Like, I've been, like, honestly, low-key, I've been doing that, you know, the little poses ever since I was a little kid. So I have no problem loving his little transformation technique. Like, I honestly just love that. He like just goes boom, and then just does that. I love that. I honestly love that. Also, he has Ghost Rider Watch, which is very awesome. So he's starting off a good note, and it ends there on a cliffhanger with him getting ready to attack Gio. So overall, this series I love instantly. I love it a lot. Hopefully, well, of course, next week we're gonna get episode 2, and they're gonna go further on into the whole conflict between Gates and Gio. So if you guys enjoyed my review and whatnot, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about this episode. For all of you Toku fans who watch Kamen Rider. As such, this has been the Ryo Sakurai, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.